that you ain't taking. Hey kid, you could use a little bit of your imagination. It could do you right, improve a life you busy wasting. Said it's your money if you make it, otherwise it's just a conversation. Okay, why you always hating?
I'm vanilla, baby. I'll choke you, but I ain't no killer, baby. She 28, telling me I'm still a baby. I get love in Detroit like Skillet, baby. And the thing about your boy is I don't like no whips and chains, and you can't.
What's up? Ben McGann here. I guess this will sort of maybe be the intro or something like that to this Toyota video. Hopefully I get to fish all 3 days. That's a goal for this one. I'm just going to say, hopefully I get to fish all 3 days. I feel like it is going to be a battle. It is going to be a hammering and swinging way through all of Lake Okeechobee's grass to hopefully squeak my way to day 3. I don't want to put myself in that mentality, but the bite's been tough. This is just my idea of what's going on here. I'm not a Lake Okeechobee expert or anything. I've just fished for a little while and I know a little bit of stuff or whatever. What it seems like happening to me, since there was really high weights in the ABA and I also caught really nice fish on Friday, I think what happened was, since there was a cold front, is a bunch of fish pulled up shallow and then from the cold front, and then fishing was good because I caught good fish on Friday. I caught a 7, a 4, and had somewhere around that 20 lb mark, like probably like 18 or something. But fishing was good. The fish strikes and stuff, like just bites, were aggressive. I was getting good swim jig bites. I had good bites on a frog, the whole 9. Big easy bites, and fish were eating. And then the ABA came around, and then I think what happened was, at least the area I was in, was getting pounded with so much boat pressure and so many people were catching fish. What I think happened is the big wave of fish pulled up, then the ABA hit, and a bunch of guys stroked all those fish and sucked them up. And then the only fish that were left behind up were now just really smart fish. Fish that weren't caught, or fish that were caught and released, or whatever. But they're much harder to catch. And I say that because the bites I've been getting, if it's a frog, fish will come up and they'll kiss it, they'll swirl under it, the frog will literally just sink under. They're not actually blowing up on it really at all. Swim jig bite, gone. Punching bite, fish that I was, like, when I was getting bites punching, they were, boom, like whacking it, and then just swimming around, or at least grabbing it, but swimming and not spitting it out. A lot of the bites I'm getting now are fish ticking it and dropping it, grabbing it, swimming, dropping it, something like that. Just, yeah, taking it, something like that. So I think what's happened is, big wave of fish pulled up, they got cleaned out by everybody in the ABA, and then the fish that are left over now are obviously the smart fish, and then all the pre-fishing from everybody from the Toyota has been hard on the shallow fish too, although everybody's probably not trying to actually tear them up. So I think that's made it hard, and then I also think since the water and everything has just got warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer since, no new fish have pulled up, which is why I think the clean water and the beautiful looking areas are fishing really tough, because everybody's going up there thinking there should be fish in those areas, and they're really not, from what I've seen. And so, yeah, that bite's tough. There is a decent dirty water bite. That's about the only time where I'm having fish really commit to something, like just smack it. And that's essentially a chatterbait only bite for me. I've tried swim jigging, tried frogging in the dirty stuff, tried some flipping. It's not really working. The only thing that's really working are me looking for funnels where wind's blowing bait or things a certain way and fish are setting up in the wind current, or on the edge of reed heads, or like a grass field, which is random. It's you fish, and then finally you bump into a school and it's like bang, bang, bang real quick, and then it's done. But when you do get a bite, throw on chatterbait, it has been like, poof, they whack it. They actually whack the snot of it. So that's cool, but it's all dirty water. So it's kind of hard to know when you're in a good area or not because you can't see in the water. A lot of the water is like 6 inches to like a foot of ice, which makes it tough. And the lake is just so different than it's been in the past. It's kind of really sad to see. There's a lot of areas that are just burnt, like destroyed. Not just from fishing pressure, but the grass is just shot. Everything's just destroyed. I would honestly say an estimate of, if you were to take out, if you include the main body of the lake outside of the grass lines, like 99.9% of the lake would be just mud. If you chop it off to where it's at the edge of the grass line, probably like 95% of the lake is dirty or so. There's little pockets here and there, but like actually clean water, small area way in the back here, small area way in the back there kind of thing are clean. Outside of that, it's like less than 2 foot of ice everywhere, which I looked at phone updates from memories from like a year ago, and dude, there was areas where the water was actually crystal clear. There, I saw it on my phone. I was like, holy cow, that is a completely different lake than what's going on right now. So my estimates are it's probably going to take 50 something pounds to dub up. I think there's going to be some solid bags weighed, 25, 24 kind of thing. Maybe a real giant bag. But I just think the consistency would be really tough. Obviously, somebody always catches them, but I think it's not going to be as banger on the sort of thing as the AB is. I don't think it's going to take 20 a day to be in the top 10. I think it's going to be like take maybe 16 or something like that a day to get in the top 10. Something like that. So my game plan is still to fish shallow. Start out fishing shallow. If it fails, I mean, everything in the lake's shallow, but shallow. 2 foot or less, and then if everything fails and the whole clean water bite dies and I can't get anything going, I'm gonna jump around. I'm gonna try and do dirty water stuff, try and punch my brains out with a punching rod, and hopefully it works out. I've pre-fished a bunch, and I feel like a lot of lakes fishing relatively the same and difficult, so it's gonna feel like just gonna be a grinder. So it's going to have to happen one way or the other. And I do know areas that have fish, so I'm just going to try and grind it out first. And if that doesn't work, maybe I'll, do the jump around thing. But anyways, that's kind of the intro to the vid. It's like, 11:31? 11:31 at night. Got to be up at like 6 something. And takeoff's supposed to be 7:30. Got to do boat check and all that extra stuff. So that's the game plan, and hopefully it works out. If it doesn't, who knows? I'd love to get another crack at a 20-pound bag because it's kind of been on my mind since I screwed up the ABA thing, which kind of hurt my feelings. But it is what it is. I've also been kind of letting the gas off of any of the good areas I've found. So hopefully I just end up having fish that somehow squeaked their way into a handful of the stretches that I had caught good fish in, and hopefully they pan out. That's all I got to say. But anyways, we'll see you in the morning, and hopefully next update is big fish.
Number 25. Good job, man.
That thing's
3-pounder to end the day.
but there just might be a shot I'll be able to get a bite in that cut. Wind's blowing down here, but it's definitely a long day. So sitting there, I ran out of mats over there.
Oh. Yeah. Fucking job, dude.
Just weird as heck like that. Better fish for the day.
Ben McCann, Bradenton, Florida Pro, 5 in the bag. Good job, man. Solid start for you. 10 pounds and 9 ounces, all the way to 3rd place. So show them up, man. You betcha. Gonna show us off a couple. Look at this out of your way. Here we go.
So, quick update after day 1. I'm sitting like 48th or something like that. So, a little bit out of the cut range, and I think right at check range or right outside check range, but really close either way. Weights are so tight. My prediction on the tournament kind of really being trash is spot on. So I think all I got to do is catch maybe 14 or so tomorrow. If I can catch roughly 14 or bigger tomorrow, I think I'll make that top 25 cut. If I can't, I mean, if I catch like high 13 or maybe high 12, maybe somehow I can squeak in. But I think I'll need about high 14 to advance to the 3rd day, and I think I'll need about 12, somewhere around that 11 to 12 mark to be in check range. So that's what we're gonna shoot for. We have a much later boat number, which is good. We like that actually, because our starting spots, there's not a lot of people on anyways. Not a lot of people are gonna be fishing what I ended my day on. And so that's kind of nice. I'm gonna sort of chop the whole part of my day out where I fish super shallow, clean water and try and get a frog bite and this and that, whatever, because that only produced 2 fish for me today doing that. I caught 1 fish somehow on a jackhammer in clean water that was random, and it was a total rat that I think I called anyways. And then I had 1 frogfish, I think, that wasn't even that big. And my 2 biggest and another one came fishing a jackhammer in dirty water. So I'm gonna have more time to fish tomorrow. The wind is in my favor for the things I'm doing, which is nice. And then also I'm just gonna chop also like a massive chunk of my day of just running around and checking like shallow water, clean stuff out, and spend it all in dirty water. And I think I don't know how it'll work out obviously, but I think my at least chances of weighing a bigger bag than I did today should go up, just because of how much time I'll be spending. I'll be reallocating or whatever my actual tournament time, like I already had, and then I'm also going to get more tournament time on top of that, and I'm going to be spending it in different areas which are more prone to get chatterbait bites in. And so if I'm more prone to get chatterbait bites, and the chatterbait bites I've been getting are bigger, I should weigh a bigger bag. That's on paper. You know, obviously it doesn't always work out, but we're going to give it a run for the money. Hopefully it works out. And if it does, maybe I'll squeak my way into day 3, and we'll see how we do. So, heck yeah. Plus, I will say that, like after the ABA, I went out and threw a chatterbait. That was in the afternoon. A lot of the other good chatterbait fish I've had have been in the afternoon. And my boat number is like 170 something, and I'm doing it like 5:15.
which is later afternoon. So, and my fish I caught today were in the last hour. My three best, well, my two biggest, and then another really helpful fish were all in the last hour or so of time of my tournament. So hopefully it works out. Hopefully we catch a big bag, and yeah, see you in the morning.
Good morning. Day 2. Fixing to take off here in a bit. We're boat number 171. We're shooting for 14 plus. I think we can catch 14 plus. We might make the last day. We'll see. We're going to give it all it's worth and hopefully get 2 or 3 better bites by the end of the day and then scrounge out a better bag. Be ready, because like when we were catching like that, there'd be a whole school sitting there. That's all it is. Here, there we go.
Net? It's tagged. Hang on. Put your rod down, bro. Okay. Man, thank you so much. Yeah. $100 bass. Power Rod 755, saving the day. That jackhammer. She's tagged. It's probably about 3 pounds. A little late day call. Yeah. Net? Probably not. Kicker tomorrow morning to fill it out with 3s, and then have other guys like stumble or some shit. Solo tournament before like that. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Jeez, what the? You heard him screeching though? Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be a giant.
I thought so too, dude. It scared the living crap. They're all 1.2.
There it is.
Don't call them. Call him.
Thank you, Bob.
At $100 tag. Cut the tag off. I should have 12 something pounds. We're gonna weigh him in. Should have right below 12, right on 12.
Ben McCann, Bradenton, Florida Pro, 10-9 yesterday, a better day too. Got you 11-15 on your limit, 22-8. Payday for you.
Alright guys, what's going on? Excuse me for any background noise. We're fixing to hop back on the road and head back to the house after a long week of fishing. just gonna make it short and sweet, kind of a few setups I used for the week. I had a lot of rods on my deck each day other than today. All throughout the week, pre-fishing, whole 9 yards. Power Rods 806 was my big fish player. Caught a 7 on it, 5 on it, a couple 4s, things like that. Didn't play that much in a tournament because the bite switched up and fish got really, really finicky. Booyah Pad Crasher and Cricket Frog, 65-pound Seagar Tac Dex Parade, Daiwa HD 8-1, and then a Power Rods, like I said, 806. That was that setup. I fish at around shallow dollar pads, eelgrass, reed heads, open water, anything you can think of. It looked good to frog, that's what I fished. I did fish a popping frog and caught 1-4 on it, but same setup, black and blue. Booyah Popping Pad Crasher though, that's the only difference. And it wasn't getting as many bites as that walking frog was, just because of boating pressure. As far as the tournament goes, all my fish but one were weighed on these two setups. I weighed one fish on that walking frog setup the first day, and it was one of my smallest fish. All my better fish came on these two setups. I will say I rarely, if ever, fish a white chatterbait or a pure white bait. I do fish it around shad, but I haven't had one tied on in a long time. Usually because I'm a clean water guy, I like to fish clean water, and white in clean water is usually overkill for me, at least I feel like. So I usually stick with a natural color or a dark color because I do like to fish darker but clean tannic water as well. Since the lake was really, really dirty in practice, I'm not a big dirty water guy, and since all there was to fish was pretty much dirty water, outside of a handful of small clean areas, I got to the point where I saw some shad getting chased and blown up, and I decided to tie white on after fishing, going shiner color throughout the day on a jackhammer, and it just wasn't standing out. It wasn't popping. I was like, I just feel like I'm bringing that by fish that aren't eating. So I tied on a white one. Within 5-10 minutes, I ended up catching fish on white. And I said, you know what? White stands out best in this. This is what I'm going to stick with throughout the week, and it worked. How I was catching fish, before I break down those setups, is I was catching fish that what I think they were was two things. I think they were set up thanks to wind. So I think what happened was the wind blowing on certain areas attracted and pushed bait up to those areas, and then attracted bass to set up on those areas, because both days, only in the afternoon I could catch those fish, which was one, after looking at my graph when the water warmed up and hit 70, this morning it started around 70, I started catching fish when the water was like 74 and on. Both days I didn't catch any fish on that main bite I was doing till past 2 o'clock. I think today it started at about 2:22, 2:23 is when I caught my first fish, doing how I caught all my weight the past 2 days. It was all at the very end of the day, very short and sweet. You had to catch them, you had to make your bites count, and I landed all my fish thanks to these two setups. But I think they were set up on wind. One, it was an afternoon bite, and then what I think they were there eating was fish from, I don't know what to call it, but I think it's a minnow spawn. This has happened multiple times in the past on Lake Okeechobee. It's happened several years ago. It happens yearly. You usually don't catch big fish doing it, but when a tournament's really tough, it worked out well. I think I was catching the biggest fish that were on those minnows, and what happens is tons and tons of minnows will get on shorelines, wind-blown shorelines, mat edges, reed clumps, things like that, and the smaller bass, pound and a half, usually topping at about 2 pounds, will just destroy and gorge on minnows. And so I think the fish I was catching were sort of on a minnow spawn, I guess that's what you call it, a minnow bite, and wind blown. Fish drawn out of eelgrass fields and set up on those edges to feed. That's the best way I could describe the bite I was on. And the water was dirty. I did best when the water cleaned up a little bit, when the winds just laid up just a hair, probably 18 miles an hour is when I did best. Smaller wind waves, not big waves that really turned up, because then it was just too dirty. But I was dealing with about that much viz. About foot and a half was when it was best. I fished this morning in like 4 and 6 inches of viz. Setup one that caught almost all my weight was a white jackhammer, 3/8 ounce. It's a Bass Pro. It's like a knockoff version of like a Z-Man Razor Shad or whatever, but just pure white everything. slow rolling it, hopping it, ripping it, everything to try and elicit a strike is what I did there. The rod I had it on is a Power Rod 755. I had somebody ask me not too long ago, actually a couple people asked me, what power rod do I use for chatterbaits, things like that. A Power Rod 755 is absolutely bad to the bone. It has enough tip and a soft enough flex to not lose fish like I did here. I didn't miss any key fish thanks to this Power Rod 755. It's soft enough to hook and keep fish pinned, but it's also got just enough of a tip to where you can fish it in grass and rip a chatterbait through grass just fine and still land all your fish. And you know, like you saw, I probably boat flipped a lot of those, the good fish and any other fish I caught. So perfect chatterbait rod, caught a lot of big 8+ pound fish on this rod. Power Rod 755, absolutely money. The reel I was using, a Daiwa Tatula Elite 7-1, and I had 20 pound Seaguar red label on there. And it worked great. That was my main setup. I caught both of my 3-pound fish day 1 and both of my 3-pound fish day 2, including the tagged fish on that, and I believe multiple others in my bag both days on that chatterbait setup. This was something that I was fishing when I first found the minnow spawn. I don't normally fish a spinnerbait, I have to say, but it's something that you can, if you pick the right head size, you can reel it slow enough to where it stays in a specific water column and strike zone longer while going slower, but still has a lot of flash thump to elicit a strike. I had a small baby Zoom baby fluke, whatever, Zoom Super Fluke Junior, whatever it is, on there, trimmed down and on there, and it's just a Z-Man. I believe it's like a 3/8 ounce, just white spinnerbait, and I hadn't fished it much at all in the tournament day 1. I did fish in practice and caught a bunch of fish, but they were mainly smaller. I picked it up right at the end of my day on today on day 2 and made 2 geek hauls that probably put me several places up in the standings to help me win, you know, probably a couple extra $100 bucks. So that's kind of what I used there. It's got a Seaguar 20 pound red label on that as well. This is an old Daiwa Tatula CT 7-1 on there. It's like their older style. I've had this reel a really long time. It catches a lot of really nice fish I've caught on that reel. And that's kind of the setup I was using there. It's also a Power Rod 755 here. This is a max version, which is a little bit more of a higher end version than their endurance price wise. And it's a glass rod. I was actually really excited I got to fish this rod today because I haven't got to fish it much. There's not very many times where I do get to pull out glass rods. The times I do is when I'm fishing a spinnerbait, something like that. So that's why I had it tied on. I actually tied it on last night and said, you know what, I might have to pull this out. Sure enough, I did. But I usually only fish glass rods unless when I'm not around grass or I'm around fish that are slapping at baits, so you don't get a good hookup. You don't want to pull fish off and you want to let the fish really engulf it. That's when I'll fish a glass rod. It worked today, great today because I was fishing a small spinnerbait, but I still wanted to fish heavy lines, so if I hooked a fish and it got wrapped up like one of the fish they caught on this right at the end did, I can still pull them out, but I also have plenty of tips where I'm not going to bend out and snap a wire on a spinnerbait, because if you fish spinnerbaits a lot, you know that can happen. So thanks to those 3 setups, mainly these 2, I was able to cash my check here on Toyota series here on Lake Okeechobee, and thanks to my Power Rods 806, I was able to catch another 7+ pound class fish for the year and some other really great fish and have a lot of fun in pre-fishing. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.